I got a dumb question here, and we asked this question of everyone that comes on the show, Billy, and I've modified it so it applies to you. But what were some of your most memorable moments when it came to finding yourself in extreme situations? Is there any time that it became surreal and almost amusing, or were they genuinely harrowing? Because in my line of work, sometimes I find myself in just absurd situations, and it's almost comical. And I don't mean to belittle anything that you're doing. I'm just curious whether you find that there's a battle going on, and you're talking about what you're going to have for tea with the bloke next to you. Or
Yeah.
something.
Me, I'll tell you, yeah, every situation like that is surreal because there's no real technique to it. I've been in lots and lots of conflicts and stuff like that being in the regiment, but everyone is different, and everyone, you've got to find a different way out of it. Now, one that I do remember is we got pinned down one time and we're stuck. Everybody's looking at each other thinking, how the fuck are we going to get out of this? And you're always in that mode. How do we get out of this? And I just started making a cup of tea. I'm behind a rock getting shot at, and I'm trying to make a cup of tea and getting
That's
pissed
exactly
off.
what I meant.
And I did. So I drank the cup of tea and I went, right, now I'm pissed off. Right, let's do something about this. And
I've spilt me tea!
Can you tell him to stop shooting?
You know what it is? It's...
Can you tell him to stop shooting? I need to find the sugar.
I had to go around it. I had to physically go over there and give him a slap and say, stop fucking trying to kill me.
It's not like you ever get used to it, but there's a kind of surreality about that. I love that.
And the British way out of any weird or dark scenario is make a cup of tea, gives you time to think, takes your mind off what's happening. Yeah.
A cup of tea and a fag, and you can have a think, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Billy, how did you know when you were done and you had to get out of it, and again almost being another pivotal moment? And the reason I bring that one up is that it's not the same, but it's a little bit about when John and I knew we should never touch that alcohol ever again, because and it's not the same, but for me it was a pivotal moment. And how did you know when? Was it a physical thing? Was it a mental thing? Were you just done? And with that, I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about done, as in being with the SAS, and time to move on,
I didn't frame it right.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, you realise you have to hand the baton down to the younger generation, the new and up and coming. In every industry, in yours, there's kids coming through who want new music.
No, I'm just trying to kill them actually right now, Billy. Frankly, with you, nasty little.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So terrible. But so you just that the time has come. You will know yourself when that time is, and I did it. So I'd pass on the baton to the younger generation, and you start listening to some of the operations they're getting up to, and you're like kicking yourself in. And it makes you miserable. It did me. I was like thinking, I want to be back there, and I can't be back there. However, the job I took after being, full on jumping through windows and doing all that sort of stuff, I enjoyed. I went back to the jungle, but then I'd done the jungle. Then I thought, now it is time. I've had enough now. I need a new zest in life. I need a new aim. I've done. There's only all I'm going to do now is lesser sort of involvement jobs, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to be hanging around like. I'd had my time. I'd had more than enough time. I'd had a great time. I'd lucky to get away with what I did and all sort of stuff. And I just knew. And, by then I'd done, I say 27 years, 27 years full on, but I actually did another 5 years of part-time in and out the camp. And I don't count that. That was a period where that was the slow period of letting it go. You got to let it go, let it go. Did it slowly, slowly, slowly. But the time I knew it's time to step out was just after being in the jungle in Belize. And I came back to the UK and I thought, nah, that life's finished. I've got to move on. I've got to find a new zest to life. And that's when I went into the bodyguard inside of life, something different, something new, which was totally 180 degrees of what I've done before.
So tell us about that. So obviously you're winding down, you're doing that 5-year bit, trying to find your feet and work it all out. How did that come about?
Well, bearing in mind, I needed a job. I was leaving the army, a bad place in my life as well, going through divorce, all that sort of stuff. And
I've done that. That's a great game.
Yeah, things weren't great. So, and firstly, I had to find somewhere to live. I needed a job, so I did all that. I was struggling with the silly things that I took for granted. Being in the army, you forget how much they do. I knew where the dentist was in the army. I knew where the doctors was. I knew how to get my food. I knew where my bed. Then I leave. I've got a flat, and I'm like, now I've got to go shopping for food. Now I've got to go and register to see a dentist. And it was all. I was like, fucking hell, how am I dealing with it? Because the army didn't set me up for none of that when I left. It was like, goodbye.
Yeah.
No transition. Now, part of that was my fault as well.
Coming
to be
off
honest.
tour.
So, yeah. Basically, I was like, bang, here we go. So I found that difficult. But then, a friend of mine who I'd done a little bit of moonlighting with before I left said, look, these clients are really interested in your work with them, celebrities, it's bodyguarding. I thought, okay, let me have a look at it. So I went and did it. I had a look at it and I thought, yeah, actually, I like it. What I didn't like was all of a sudden, people pointing fucking cameras at me, not guns. I could handle guns. Because I've gone from this life of nobody knows me to people, who is this guy? And it was weird. That was really difficult, trying to hide from a camera and knowing that I couldn't. And then getting a call from Eric going, hey, mate, you're on every magazine here. I'm like, oh, Jesus. It was awkward. And then, I've gone from everything from being, which I did like, from being 30-year-old when actually I was 40-something. The paparazzi saying I was 30 years old, I was Scottish, now I'm Welsh, now I'm Irish, now I'm English, now he's in MI5, he's in MI6, he's SAS, he's SPS, it was just, they're building up this story about you, and obviously I wasn't telling anybody anything what I was doing. And so that was difficult, dealing with all that, and how the family was reacting to it, and it was weird. It was just, it took some, but I needed the money, I needed a job, and I liked the job. So I kind of embraced it, but it took a while to do that. I was like foot in the water, foot out the water. And I thought, well, I've got to do it. And what I also learned at this stage, Nick, John, was, so I leave the SAS after doing 27 years. People in this industry, in the bodyguard industry particularly, everybody was in the SAS. And funny enough, I didn't know any of them. I thought, what the fuck? So everybody you know where this is going. Half of them couldn't spell SAS. I was like, what the fuck?
Okay.
They've been doing for years. They were all SAS guys, and they were this. And I was like, I'm the only actual fucking SAS guy here, and I'm scared to say it. So that point in my life, I went, you know what? I had to say to them, listen, I am SAS. Then when I said it, I felt like they must be walking around going, it can't be SAS because I would have said it. But then I thought, all these people who have been working in this industry for so long, apparently were. And that came to a head at some point. Then they all bent their heads and was going, oh, I'm sorry.
I love that. A little bit of truth stretching.
It was that transition. It was difficult. So then I stepped on and, hey, I am who I am. I need a fucking job. This is what I do. Yeah.
Naming no names. Who was trouble with the private security? If you know,